Okay, well, hello everyone, and for those of you that were just on or just checked out the video that I posted a second ago, apologies for the misfire there. We didn't have the equipment ready to go in the form of, namely, this headset, which makes it a little bit easier for you to hear me, and we'll get those technical difficulties worked out and ready to go. And I'm having technical difficulties with the bow tie today, but fair enough. Anyway, we're going to get rolling here, and we wanted to try something different today. We often present information that you can find on Simply Research and give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on, kind of scan through the pages a little bit. But we thought, what better way to show you how well it works than to put together a presentation of our own based on information that you can readily find on Simply Research. And we just picked a random compliance issue. One of the things to highlight are compliance summaries that cover major compliance topics in each state regarding workers' compensation information. The one that we picked today is out of Delaware, and we're just going to go ahead and get started on it here. And then we'll show you how we built our little thing together using readily available compliance information that's on Simply Research. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get going here, so just bear with me while I get the screen up, and we're going to do our slideshow there. So coverage under the policy in Delaware. That's one of our compliance summary topics that you'll find throughout the country on Simply Research. And once again, that is Simply Research by workerscompensation.com. So we wanted to give you a little bit of information on what you need to know and what you can learn about coverage under the policy, the requirements for basically carrying workers' compensation coverage in Delaware. And that's based on statute, of course, and it's also a topic that's going to come up in case law, but certainly the driver of it is statutory law. Now, there's three parts that we've broken down for you, kind of workers' compensation coverage generally, employer's liability, and other states' insurance. Now, this is all kind of under a sort of, if you're a legal student, it's under the sort of subcategory of insurance law. So there you go. There's the statute right there in Delaware. If you're following along, if you've got your Delaware statute book open, but you don't need that because if you have Simply Research, it's right there, the full text of the statute, and we'll look at that in a second. All right, so here are the basic rules here. Now, in Delaware, employers must carry workers' compensation insurance that consists of, now this is what you have to have. So, if you're an employer and you're checking out what your, insurance coverage requirements are, this is what it has to meet. Now, most of the time, reputable insurance companies, you're going to go with them and say, I need workers' comp coverage, and this is just going to be part of the deal. But it's good to know anyway, because, why not know as much as you can? So it has to be an actual Delaware workers' compensation policy covering the activities of the employer for any employee engaged in the employer's business in the territory of the state. All right, so that's anything in the state. Also, and these are ors, just depending on what the circumstances are necessitating coverage. A written rider on an out-of-state policy of insurance. So you might be doing work in Delaware, but you're not based in Delaware or something like that. A written rider on an out-of-state policy of insurance covering the work activities of the employees as full and completely as an actual Delaware workers' compensation policy would. So, you're coming from, South Carolina, going in to do work in Delaware. Well, you better check the policy, and then you better have this rider on here that says that your policy in South Carolina or whatever state it is going to cover you to the extent that a Delaware workers' compensation policy would. Or part 3 here, a declaration, so you're self-insured. So then you're going to need a declaration of self-insurance that would be valid and acceptable if made by a Delaware employer in the territory of the state providing the coverage, filings, and surety as is required of Delaware employers to be self-insured. So again, you're coming from another state, whatever random state you want to choose. Illinois, you come in, you say, well, we're self-insured, but we're doing work in Delaware. Well, your paperwork there better say that, your coverage is what it would be if you were a self-employed under a self-insured employer under Delaware law. So, I mean, nothing too terribly difficult to understand, but that spells it out for you. Now, let's advance the screen here. Did I go too far? Okay. Now, employer's liability coverage. Now, this is an important thing too. That's good to know. Now, that's included in standard workers' compensation policy. Not a newsflash to a bunch of you. Just so you understand how it works, it covers common law claims of injured employees made in lieu of or in addition to a workers' compensation claim. So, if you're getting sued, now obviously we're in the realm of exclusive remedies, but the insurer is, and what the state law is requiring is coverage, though, because we're not really sure what the court's going to say. I mean, sure, there's an exclusive remedy rule, but we want to make sure that we, that the insurance is placed just in case, because that's what insurance does. Now, remember, when an intentional tort is at play, we're not even in the realm of exclusive remedy. The court's going to say that's an exception. So we're kind of out of the workers' comp world altogether. So this liability insurance is out of that realm as well, if that makes sense. So employer's liability coverage is included in standard workers' compensation policy. So, once you get a workers' comp policy that meets the requirements of Delaware law, liability coverage is included, and so it will cover common law claims. So, we're talking like tort claims or maybe like a wrongful employment type of thing. So it could be something a little bit different than your straight up workers' comp claim, or it could be in addition to. Now, again, the exceptions, just remember, it doesn't apply to an intentional tort. So the policy doesn't have to cover an employer's intentional tort. And it's not the subject of this presentation, but an intentional tort doesn't always mean the boss comes and just punches an employee in the face. Now, sure, that would be an easy case of an intentional tort, but often what courts will look for is wanton and willful conduct. I don't know what the standard is in Delaware. I didn't look it up for this case, for this presentation, but something along those lines where there's a level of negligence where we're going to say that conduct satisfies the intentional tort standard. So, it's usually some kind of reckless indifference or something like that, depending on what it is across the country. And we might look into that for a future presentation. So that's, it's just something to be aware of. Now that's, again, we're beyond the boundaries of workers' compensation policy coverage here. Now, this explains it a little bit more, and these are legal requirements for how the policy needs to be structured. So coverage provided by Part 2 of the Basic Workers' Compensation policy is employer's liability insurance and pays on behalf of the employer named in item 1 of the information page of the policy. And what it pays is all sums that the insured shall become legally obligated to pay as damages because of bodily injury by accident or disease sustained by an employee of the insured arising out of and in the course of her employment. So, that's kind of like the coverage that is required. And so there it is. Now, what about other states' insurance? Now, we talked about that, other states, and it's particularly you think of a place like Delaware that borders Pennsylvania. It borders 3 states, if my geography is correct: Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. So it's very likely the case that's, it's right there with those states that someone could be coming in from PA or New Jersey or Maryland to do work, and vice versa. But certainly with the way that those states border each other there, Delaware is kind of like right in the middle of that triangle. And so this spells out what Delaware does with respect to other states' insurance. And that is workers' compensation and employers' liability insurance coverage for an insured's employees traveling through or temporarily working in states other than the insured's home states. That's what we're talking about here. Now, an endorsement in the policy will expand it so that an injured employee can receive compensation benefits as prescribed by the other states listed on the endorsement. However, and this could be important, particularly for one state in particular, but coverage only applies to states so listed, and coverage cannot be extended to monopolistic fund states. So if you're a monopolistic fund state, you're kind of out of luck there. And those are the states right there: North Dakota, Ohio, Washington, and Wyoming. So actually, I mean, it's not, Maryland, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey. So, I guess someone could be coming in from Ohio, but, people come from all over the country to do work in other states, and that might affect it. Now, there's some cases on point, and all these cases you can find on Simply Research. The High Court there, the Delaware Supreme Court, ruled on, and this is cases that specifically address the statute that we've built this presentation and we built this compliance summary around. And so this Pierce case involved a third-party beneficiary, and whether the third-party beneficiary had sort of like standing to, pursue rights under the workers' comp insurance contract. And the court said, yes, that's kind of what we're involved here. The workers' compensation insurance policy was meant to extend to these third-party beneficiaries, and you can see how this would work in a contractor-subcontractor arrangement when work is being performed under a contract. Well, it would only make sense to extend the coverage of workers' comp in a similar manner. And so this was a bad faith claim. Actually, it wasn't really even about, ultimately the injured worker received the workers' compensation payments, but there was delay. And so the worker had a bad faith claim. Now, this is going to be a tort action. That's sort of, I guess, would be in addition to a workers' comp claim, as we mentioned before. So this is a tort action, and the initial ruling in this case was that he couldn't bring this claim because he was outside. The worker was outside the contract. He wasn't really a party to the contract, so he couldn't bring this bad faith claim. Well, the court steps in and says, well, that's why this sort of workers' comp insurance policy exists, is to cover injured workers. So it's a third-party beneficiary that's able to assert rights under the contract. So there you go. This Hudson case here, Delaware Superior Court from 1987. Now, this involved a joint venture agreement. So again, you have sort of a contract situation, not a typical employer-employee type of thing, but you have two entities that have gone in on a joint venture. And essentially what it boils down to is the court says, well, listen, they're all in together on this. So, even if both companies aren't, carrying the policy or don't have the policy in effect, this is a joint venture we're talking about. So if one of them goes in on it and, has the policy, that protection is the property really of the joint venture. So it applies to both joint venturers, if that makes sense. So, that's again a situation where a legal relationship it creates sort of workers' compensation rights, I guess, in a way of thinking. And then this Trujillo case, more recent one, since this is going back just a few years ago. Oh, no, 8 years ago. 2017 doesn't seem like that long ago, but definitely the most recent one on this page here, at least. And the situation here was, again, we have a contractor-subcontractor relationship, and the claim was that this employer wasn't liable because it obtained a certificate of insurance. And so the situation was the employer was arguing, well, we had this certificate, this policy that was good at the time that it was entered into. And so, it didn't matter that it only covered New Jersey. And the court says, well, that's not completely accurate, and you are on the hook for this workers' compensation claim. And it doesn't really matter if it was only effective in New Jersey, just by operation of the law here. You're subjected to a claim in Delaware. So that was that case, and that one is also on Simply Research. All three of these are. Now, this is how we sort of got to this presentation and this material. And it's really not a difficult thing, and we're going to show it to you in a second. We go in through workerscompensation.com, but you can set the Simply Research as your homepage or bookmark it or whatever. But I'm just telling you how I do it. Go on workerscompensation.com and go to Solutions, get into Simply Research. Look for the state that I need. In this case, I decided to go with Delaware, and then I went to the compliance summaries because I think those are, if you don't know where else to start, or you're just looking around or just trying to get some research, figuring out what you can learn. Now, if you're looking for a specific topic, that's a different story. But in this case, I was just looking to see what I can learn. Went into the compliance summaries. Now, why are these compliance summaries so important? Well, everywhere you go now, you're getting hit with artificial intelligence. You plug stuff into Google, you're bringing back artificial intelligence. And, we don't disagree that AI is the way of the future and that it's here to stay, and it's going to revolutionize how we do things. It's a powerful tool, an important tool, and a helpful tool. But at the same time, we are oh so thankful that we have a compliance team. And let me shout out the compliance team for you. They're headed up by Robin Calise. And joining her is Sandy Garner, Jared Goldberg, Logan Huntley, and the jack of all trades, Richie Dubril. And so they put together the compliance information that we have on our site, and you can count on them to put the human component into it. They're checking for the mistakes. They're checking for the things that aren't clear, and they generate these compliance summaries. Even if you had perfectly accurate AI information, this puts it in a way that a human can understand because the humans put it together. Like, how would I explain this to someone? Boom, that's what you get from the compliance summaries. Now, once you're in the compliance summaries, if you need more and you want to get it from the horse's mouth, that's what we have our legal library for. We have the case law, we have stats and regs, those are the primary areas, and then we have a few court summaries along the way. And that's not more. I mean, I say keep going, but wait, there's more. We have info that you need, or we'll get it. And that's an important thing. That's the other human component. We're always trying to sniff out where the weaknesses are, where the people who do this job day in and day out are likely to need information. So let me go ahead and show you how we do that on this little process here on Simply Research. And we do that by going ahead. And so I'm already in Simply Research. Like I said, you can get to it through workerscompensation.com. I'm not too worried about you finding that website because it's kind of an easy name to remember. But you go ahead and you pick the state. Like I said, Delaware, you got this 50-state map. If you're in a different state, go ahead and knock around in there. And you can see there's some information here. There's the latest cases that we've added. I put these two in here that were used in the presentation. Looks like someone else has popped one in today. So that just shows you how much we are keeping this up to date and current. And that's an important thing. And you can always rely on us to put new stuff in. So anyway, there it is. But then you go to the compliance summaries. And I mean, these really are a value added tool that is on Simply Research. And we're going to do a few more of these presentations to get you really into the spirit of how they work. But, there's all sorts of topics on here, as you can see: compensability, coverage, all that, COVID. But I went right there, coverage under the policy. And there you go, 3 parts there. Workers, and all kind of related. Workers' comp, it all comes from the same statute. So workers' compensation, employers' liability, and other states' insurance. So that breaks you down what you need to know about insurance policies. And so there you go. And there's, pretty much, I kind of put my own spin on it in places, but essentially, here's the presentation. Every employer will ensure the payment of compensation to employees or their dependents. While the insurance remains in force, the employer is liable to any employee or the employee's dependents for personal injury or death by accident only to the extent and the manner specified. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, the coverage will explain how it goes. And then there's the info for other states and all that. So that will give you the sort of plain language. Here's how I would explain it if you don't know anything about it. Human sort of uh, explanation of it. And so there you go. There's a little bit of we didn't include this here, but every Delaware construction or contracting business employing an out-of-state business for which a Delaware employer would be required to be licensed under this particular statute must verify any business transaction that the out-of-state construction or contracting business is in compliance with this requirement. So, you know, you're coming in to build in Delaware. If you're contracting with someone, it's up to you to say, hey, they meet these coverage requirements under the coverage under the policy requirements. And then that will bring you to the statute. Say, okay, well, I mean, that's great. I'm glad I got the Cliff Notes version of it there, but I really want to know exactly what did the Delaware legislature include. And so there it is. Not terribly different, a little bit longer. Substantial work, a definition there is a term of art and under the law. And here's the insurance requirements that we highlighted. So it's all right there. And we keep these updated. So if the legislature changes this, if there's any kind of updates to it, we'll keep you updated. And then you can look up some cases that reference that. And there you go. There's 3 cases that reference it, 3 cases that we mentioned right there. And every time we add a case that references that statute, it'll pop up there. So that'll keep you current. That'll let you know what's going on in the law. And, you know, we'll try to keep you on the right side of the law. And hopefully, more than that, it'll make your job, whatever you do in workers' comp, a little bit easier. So we'll have some more of these. Don't you worry. Don't you fret. We'll be back with some more information. If there's a state and a topic that you would like us to focus on so that you can see if Simply Research is something that will work for you, please send it in. Probably the quickest way to do that is just drop me an email at fferrari@workerscompensation.com, and I'll put that on the screen right now. Let's go ahead and we'll type in a new page. Well, let's just do that. fferrari@workerscompensation.com. So that's one way that you can connect with me. But another way that you can connect with us is the various channels that are available on our website. We've got social media all over the place. Many of you know us from LinkedIn, obviously. If you're on YouTube today, you know we have a YouTube channel. We have a email newsletter that goes out every week. We put the finishing touches on it this morning, so it's going to go out tomorrow. It'll be in your inbox if you're signed up. Like I said, social media, LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, X, you name it, we're there, Discord, Reddit. You can find us all over the place. So, but another way, and this is a little bit more interactive and a little bit more, we believe, human, is through our comp and circumstance gatherings here. And that's what they are. They're gatherings. Our next one's coming up. It'll be next week. It'll be the 14th. So 9 days out if you're watching this on August 5th. And that'll be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We want to see you there. And what this is it lets you connect with others across the industry. There's really no formal structure to it. There's nothing rigid about it. You just come and share with us what's going on with your organization, what's going on with you, you know, kind of personally or professionally, ways that we can connect with others across the industry. And, you know, if there's something that there's a cause or anything that you're looking to get people involved in, this is a great place to do it. Or, you know, if you just want to unwind and enjoy others' company, we would love to have you there. So August 14th at 2:30 p.m. Again, you can reach out to me. It's going to be on Teams. So you can get the link from me or go ahead and just bookmark this here for that day. But anyway, we appreciate you spending some time with us. We hope that this has been a helpful presentation, helped you understood a little bit more about Delaware workers' compensation requirements, and hopefully let you know how Simply Research can help you. Anyway, like I said, we'll do more of these in the future, and we're looking forward to spending more time with you. And we appreciate the time that you spend with us. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day, everyone.